You guys ready for a super boring stream? Okay, we're going to react to the Mandalorian Grogu trailer. I literally didn't I when I heard about it, I actually just thought it was the tease that they gave us on freaking what's it called on the Super Bowl, and I'm guessing they released the trailer now in response to be like, hey, look, we're actually not dumb, which they are obviously, but they're trying to show us that they got their head straight. But yeah, we are going to the first reaction. It's gonna be by far the most boring. It's an interview that was actually it was buried. It's of George Lucas and his wife. Early, I wouldn't say early on, but like 2020, 2021. So around 5-6 years ago, roughly. And after Rise of Skywalker, all that stuff, right? So this particular interview is to... Oh shoot, what the hell is going on? Great. Internet's being hella crazy today. But this particular interview, I think a lot of people who are fans will remember that there was... the interview wasn't really for George, it was for his wife. There was a bunch of... Which you could say like that was kind of the agreement in a way. But she talks about him and how much like their belief system, but overall you could kind of tell that the kids, the way their questions were formed. These are 12-year-olds, by the way, just barely just entered 7th, 8th grade, right? Most of them, I would say, was very formulaic, was actually extremely like, yeah, the kids don't talk this way. And this interview, like, you can't find the original video, is taken down. Luckily, some people recorded it. A lot of people, what's it called? A lot of people posted like, what's up, Coca-Cola? A lot of people that I guess you could kind of tell where their political leanings are. I'm not going to get into politics, any of that stuff. I'll mention here and there, but I'm not going to like go deep into them, right? Because I try, when I talk about politics, I usually talk about things of control. People should always have control, stuff like that. But not choosing one side or the other, but I guess from my principles, you can switch principles. But anyway, this interview, a lot of people just focus on a small part of where George Lucas is speaking and about Star Wars, but I think it's also important to know his belief system and hers, but realize that they keep things separate, as in, they are definitely, you could say, politically leaning more towards the left in a way, more Democrat, but they keep their principles separate from their belief of politics. And when they do things that are business wise or entertainment wise, they actually keep a level head. But I also think it's the people that they associate themselves with, the people that they're around, because it just it doesn't necessarily make sense. But yeah, what the freak is going on with the damn internet? Oh my gosh. F my life. Kick is such a garbage platform, dude. It's great and it's garbage at the same damn time. But freaking whatever. So, this interview, it's boring, guys. It's completely boring. I'm giving y'all a heads up. You're like, we're gonna go through, like, I'll point out some things. I might skip some things. Like, there's obviously heavy questions. They're very much like his wife. So his wife's name, George Lucas's wife, is named Melody Hobson. Okay. She is a black woman. She is for BLM and that kind of stuff. I think that's a dead movement, but she comes from the place of, they both live in Chicago. She comes from a place where like I want you to think of some of these people that they are part of certain movements, but they only see who's around them and who explains stuff to them. They don't actually go out and see this stuff. They're usually really busy. Like there's a story, if you guys want to look it up. I think there's this like country singer guy that was talking to Joe Rogan at the time, and he was talking about how he was with the president of the United States, Donald Trump, and that he's talked about the vaccine for COVID, and he got booed and by his crowd, right? And he actually talked to the guys like, why did I get booed? I don't freaking understand why. And then the guy had to explain to him. So he wasn't even privy to like everything that was happening in the media. He's not paying attention to this stuff, and that tends to happen. That tends to happen a lot. So you gotta imagine that people in Hollywood, they are very disconnected. Some are retarded and like just attack every single person, like your Mark Ruffalo's of the world. They get too hostile. But then there's people like George Lucas and his wife that are like, oh yeah, I support this. Like, it sucks what happened to this guy, but then they don't read the facts. They don't have time for that stuff. They just feel and believe in a certain injustice. And like she mentioned, one part of this interview, you guys could go look it up yourself. It's on a channel called Star Wars Universe. That's the name of the channel. You can't save it to your playlist. You can't save it to anything. He or she marked it as for kids and families. But the questions are pretty freaking politically loaded from 12-year-olds, which I'm guessing all of them either they had original questions and then they formulated it perfectly so that they could read it, but you could see that they're reading it. And I think there was only like 2 questions that was like, oh yeah, that probably sounds like it's from these kids. But she talked about an experience where at her company, she's a CEO, and there's a white dude that she works with that can't look at her because she's black, and that's like really hard for him to I guess deal with. Now, if that is true, first of all, good on her for hiring somebody that knows that has a prejudice against the color of her skin and possibly racism, but that can work cordially, and she actively tries to help and change. She's not demonizing the man. I think it's more on the safer side that she has been around certain types of people that coerced her into thinking that is the case. Now, I'm not like, I think that's the higher probability, but I don't know. Like, I can't speak on her experiences, I don't know if she's had, like, that would be a very, very interesting conversation to have, to pull employee aside, and then they're like, hey, look, the reason I feel uncomfortable for you is because of the color of your skin, but I'm okay working with you. That's, like, today's day and age, I don't think I've ever heard a conversation like that. Maybe that happened back in the 50s and 40s and 30s, but I don't think today, especially in Chicago, somebody's working at your firm or whatever it is you work for, and you're a CEO and you're talking to high level associates. You're usually not talking to the ground level, so they obviously work their way up there. Usually people who have a high paying job usually have a pretty set, like, usually have a level head, and I can't see somebody thinking that way, especially who works for you and constantly talks to the CEO in the corporate office. So anyways, but here's the caveat. She actually plays it very nice. She talks about it in a way where like we need to unite, and it doesn't matter who we are, like, and what we think, we need to be able to love each other, kind of thing. So that's nice. I don't agree with everything she's saying. I don't agree with everything that George talks about, but they do bring it back to the fundamental principle of like we all need to strive to be good, even those who are bad. If they are able to change, great. We shouldn't demonize them. We should stay away from people who are bad. But some people are good and they're just doing bad things, and we need to like help with that stuff like that. So we'll listen to most of the interview. I skipped a lot of it. Like we'll start with when George Lucas enters. It's hour and 15 minutes long, hour 12 minutes long. But we're not gonna do the full thing. We're gonna do like a good solid, 30 minutes of it, and I'm gonna be commenting throughout. But again, and we'll do that. We will do the Mandalorian Grogu reaction, and we'll just keep talking. Like, feel free to hit up the chat, and we'll talk about topics usually related to Star Wars and just what's going on. I'm not really a news channel. I totally understand the things that are going on. I meant talk about it every now and then, but I want this channel to be more of like a reminder of why something is bad, why something is good, what we're gonna expect, and remind us of the love that we have for the stuff that came, like Star Wars and comics and all that stuff. Marvel, DC, your Hellboy comics and whatnot. But yeah, let's get to this freaking. Again, it's gonna be boring. So, freak. All right. Boom.
Do you guys recognize him?
Heroic. What an epic couple. Behind every great woman is a great man. What an honor. You resonate from my childhood years. I was looking at your wife's amazing life trajectory, and it's like only somebody like George Lucas, some mythical man, deserves to be a life partner to some amazing woman like this. This is crazy. I was telling the kids, I was saying, Melody.
You can ask him anything you want. Ask him anything you want.
I think this interview is super important.
All right, well, let me
marry somebody smarter than you.
To get into the mind of George Lucas, understand that he's not coming back to Lucasfilm.
Yeah. All right, so we'll open this up.
Marry somebody smarter than you.
Yeah, I just want to say before we open
that's
this
what I did.
up, I mean, this is
Did
the
I
most
beat
powerful.
Lewis? Come on, I gotta beat Lewis. I have to go back to him and said I did better than you, Lewis.
No, you did even without George Lucas. You did beat. Lewis goes fast, you go deep.
They're talking about Lewis Hamilton, F1 driver.
Yeah, but he brought a steering wheel from a Formula One car. I can't compare to that.
No, believe me, you beat
Lewis
that
Hamilton.
in millions and millions of people's eyes. Both you. What a beautiful and amazing.
Man, I'd say over a billion
couple you
people's
are.
eyes.
I just want to say before we open it up to questions to you amazing people, with the Black Lives Movement, and then you may get some questions with that, Melody, that I want to say that you were at least 6 years ahead of this, speaking really strongly about being color brave and people wanting to skew the edges of this honest discussion and this 400 years.
Look, I'll put in my freaking 2 cents a little bit on this. Like, I grew up here, but I kept my culture very much intact. Like, I was born in Brazil, grew up here, went back, all that fun stuff. But it is always been insane to me how much the US is obsessed with race. Like, it's insane. Like, it's also weird if you go outside the US and somebody says African American, nobody thinks of black people in the US that way. You're just American. They don't even think of you as black. They don't think of white people as white. You're just American. So, like, African American, I'm like, what, were you born in Africa and then you got citizenship? Because, like, there's only a few people that are like that. That would be, like, Elon Musk. He's from Africa, and then he's American, so he's African American. Like, it's a nationality. It's a continent. You're not from there, bro. Like, I have, like, if my kids, they're Brazilian, Korean, blood-wise, but they were born here. So they're American. And that's because I'm straight from Brazil, my wife's straight from Korea. I just don't get it. And it's like, all right, yeah, like, remember your history, remember the laws that have affected recently in the 1950s, Jim Crow, all that stuff. Remember that, learn from those mistakes, but, like, start bringing love into it. Stop demonizing people because they might have ancestors who did terrible things. Like, everybody's ancestors did terrible things. Every single one of our ancestors did terrible things. Probably even your parents did terrible things. Your grandparents. Are you gonna demonize the current person that's living for past sins? That's insane. So, like, I get that maybe places you're gonna have to navigate. Maybe you'll come across somebody who is racist. Like, I've come across it, but like, you could always just move, or, like, you don't have to work for the guy. You don't have to work in that town. If you feel that strongly about it, you don't want to be around that person. Like, you think there's evil there, you don't have to be around that evil. I don't know, man. Like, I think it's really hard to, like, take an entire freaking nation and, like, color it as one picture of, like, yep, wherever you go, it's gonna suck for me. Like, dude, just get over yourself and move on, go forward. Like, life sucks for everybody, but has the potential to be good for freaking everybody, especially in America. Like, my damn. Anyways, it's my 2 cents.
Legacy that the country is facing, and it's been so beautiful. And so, you are somebody who embodies Rudyard Kipling's friends. You walk with kings and queens, but you keep the common touch. You guys are. I'm gonna cry. So we'll turn it over to the kids and get the care. What a gift that you conjured for us this morning. So, Ms. Duncan,
let's just ask George one question. George, you made Star Wars for 11-year-olds. They're 12.
12-year-olds.
No, I made it for 12-year-olds.
Oh, 12-year-olds.
My man.
Sorry, 12-year-olds. They're 12.
They're 12.
So, if you had any advice for them, 12-year-olds, from your perspective of Star Wars, what would you tell them? 12-year-old kids,
Well,
Black and Hispanic.
There's a lot in there.
I didn't like that. Like, just for Black and Hispanic, like, kids are kids, man. That's something I actually didn't like. Black and Hispanic, like, what? Why? Like, raise everybody up. Isn't that the goal? Isn't that, like, the astounding goal that everybody's striving for? Like, everybody to, like, become something more? I'm a little confused. F me.
Oh, 12-year-olds. Sorry, 12-year-olds. From your perspective of Star Wars, what would you tell them? 12-year-old kids,
Well,
Black and Hispanic.
There's a lot in there. Lots of lessons to be learned because it's based on ideas that have been around a long time. For 12-year-olds who are making that transition from being a child to being an adult. And 12 years old is when it happens. So you're going to get a few rough years here while you make that transition. And then hopefully you'll go off into the world with a better attitude about what you're supposed to be doing.
Hell yeah. Some freaking good advice.
So,
Heroic and epic moment, both of you. All right, Ms. Duncan, let's turn it
And
over
it's for
to
everybody.
our team.
It ain't.
I'm not easily impressed.
Doesn't have a
Devin is
brush.
killing me. I'm going to have a heart attack every week. But
Brush
no,
of color.
Lewis goes fast this way. You guys go high and low. George Luke taps into Taoism, Buddhism, just great ancient wisdom. He did it on a big screen.
I think
It's
George
still
was
a reference
raised
point to
Buddhist.
so many people, up and down the
Like,
age spectrum. So, Ms. Duncan.
Like here's little lesson for like if you're not like a hardcore Star Wars fan. George Lucas, I think, was raised Buddhist. San Francisco is where he's from, and that is I don't know, like it's actually big in atheism, and I guess you could say Buddhism. I don't know if it's big in Buddhism, but around the age of 12 is where he started asking about why are there so many different religions but there's only one God. Like, I have an answer for that myself, but he started studying, and he said one of the reasons he created Star Wars was for people to be able to form their own opinion, because he thought it was important that everybody, not that they know the truth, but it was important for everybody to have an opinion of the afterlife, of God, of spirituality in and of itself. And that is the point of Star Wars. One of the very few points that he makes. It's Star Wars is the understanding that good can become evil, and there should always, you should never be stagnant, and there's always going to be a fight between good and evil in yourself and outside yourself. Also that when adversity is going to come, and the way you make decisions when adversity comes will turn you either more good or evil, and you're never the same every time it happens. The other is understanding that you're never going to understand everything. That's one of the main points of spirituality. Then the fifth point is know that if there is a God, he knows more than you. If there isn't, you should have a base of understanding of why you believe so. But you should have a very strong opinion that you formulated on your own through study, through your spiritual journey of what your beliefs are. You shouldn't just change because you heard a good story here or there, or you have your best friend believes in something, so therefore you got to believe in something, that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's a little lesson for you guys.
Let's put this beautiful power couple open for interrogation from 12-year-olds.
Absolutely. Our first question comes from Yuritsi, who is a 7th grader. Go ahead, Yuritsi.
Hi, my name is Yuritsi. I'm in the 7th grade, and your TED Talk, Colorblind or Color Brave, was really inspiring. You talked about how many people of color are seen in big companies. You also talked about how women are treated in some of our country's top workplaces. My question for you is, what are some challenges you have faced being a woman of color during your time as CEO of Ariel Investments?
Well, I face challenges every single day. They never end. I will tell you that.
Maybe this is the story I told you guys about.
It's hand-to-hand combat, what I do. It does not get easier. The workload doesn't get easier. The moments of truth that I have with people who are uncomfortable with my position, they don't change. I come home and I talk to George about them all the time, and I say, guess what happened to me today? Or look at how this person is treating me. But what I will tell you is, I just don't give up. We were talking about persistence yesterday with our 6-year-old, that you have to be persistent. And the challenges are where I will tell you, I sit in meetings where, unfortunately, there are sometimes white men who don't even make eye contact with me, even though I'm in charge, because my power or influence will be uncomfortable for them. I don't get mad though. I try to.
Okay, maybe that's it, because of her power and influence. That actually, it's more like starstruck. So it's not really a bad thing, but it's like, dude, imagine. I don't think I've ever been starstruck. I've met a few famous bastards in my life. Some good, some bad. Like my parents, they always showed me kind of like some ugly things about life, because I've always asked a lot of questions, and so they told me, like, you know, in terms of, like, let's say spirituality, they're like, hey, look, don't be inspired by people. Like, people sin, they make mistakes. So if you have a belief or a testimony, it should be on the gospel. It should be on a foundation, because a person can be swayed. You know, they could change. They could believe one thing one day and something the next day, and their life experience can hurt them. It's freaking possible, man. So I don't, but I could totally see it. When I owned a Lego store, that happened a few times where, like, people found out I was the owner, and they were older than me, and they just couldn't, like, they had kind of a hard time talking to me about business and things like that. I'm like, yo, like, there was one guy that I was like, hey, you can relax. Like, I'm okay sharing my journey. Like, here's the mistakes I've made. Here's the things that bore fruit, all that stuff, and here's my knowledge. I don't have all the knowledge in the world. Like, you know, maybe all my knowledge sucks, but here's how it worked for me, and here's what I think will work. All that fun stuff. But it was just, quite simply put, like, people are starstruck. So I'm probably misheard her before, but it wasn't because of her color. It was just because of power influence. And George and his wife navigate very well. Instead of making something about race and color, put it back to, you know, just being a person. You know what I mean? They don't do it perfectly, but they do it very well.
Graceful and very elegant, and help them see the error of their ways as best I can, mostly by being on top of the subject that I'm supposed to be an expert in, and demonstrating through my knowledge that I'm very smart, but not in a know-it-all way, but in a way that.
The guy's shaking the mic up there. You guys see that?
So one of the things I can tell you that can help offset some of the inevitable slights that we as people of color are going to have, and especially women, is to come prepared. To come prepared, know our stuff, and to be persistent. Those two things make a difference.
Yeah, and I would say this. Look, media does have an influence. If you're an idiot, it's gonna have an influence. Even if you're smart, it's gonna have an influence. Like right now, me and a friend of mine, we were talking about this the other day. And I talked to this about my mom the other day, because, like, we were talking about a friend that, like, you know, hated Trump, then loved Trump, then hated Trump, loved Trump, and now hates him again. Like, the movement. And I'm like, it's people who only watch YouTube videos and don't study. You know, like, you have to have a foundation, right? So if you're influenced by the news, like, news at one point might have been objective. Today's day and age, it's like, here's a car crash. Let's figure out who's a Democrat and who's a Republican, and then let's hate on the one we don't like. It's ridiculous. It's like, no, here's a car crash. Dude hit another dude. One person dead. Sad day. Move on to the next story. That's how it should be. You know, and then we could get details like, oh, they was drunk, blah, blah, blah. But it shouldn't be like, let's figure out, like, let's hide the news if it's somebody on our side or something like that, right? But anyways, we were talking about this, and because of the media, on either side, like, we always see negatives, right? We always see, what's up, Mike Phantom on the kick side? Thank you for the positivity, man. Just saying hi and spreading some positivity. I appreciate it. So, and we are pretty positive here. So, what happens when you listen to something, like, you hear about, like, these riots, like, let's say Chicago. They live in Chicago. You hear about the riots and whatnot. So, then you see most of the riots be performed by black people, looting and whatnot, right? So, and it's all about perspective. So one perspective is like, yeah, people are fed up with the system. Okay. Or these are morons that are acting wild because of this. Okay. Or like they're only showing the bad parts of a certain people. The system is rigged against black people. Okay. All different perspectives, right? But eventually it's going to be like, look, if your name is John and you go in for a job interview and then you take the same person and their name is Janiquish and they go in for a job interview, they are most likely going to lean to the person that's John. It's called a prejudice. It isn't racist. And by the way, they could be the same color because I didn't specify a color. And the reason why is because, hey, everybody, like, think about names. Every person I met with the name Tom is an evil person. Okay. Everybody that I met with the name Harambe is like the sweetest little ape ever. If you guys don't know who Harambe is, you know, that sucks for you. It's a good ape. So there's like that you're going to form prejudice like subconsciously, especially if you only see the media, if you only focus on these things, like that's what's gonna happen. And she actually is right. Like, you being a woman in business is gonna be tougher than being a man in business. Why? Because you're competing with other men. The physicality, like, look, if I as a guy, if I'm going to a business negotiation, and this has happened before, and the guy is fat, it's not that I take him less seriously, but I do feel stronger than that guy. If I go to a business meeting and somebody is fit and they could all be wearing the same damn clothes, like a suit, I'm going to be slightly more intimidated, and I know I'm going into a battle. But that's not to say that the fat guy isn't like strong in mind when it comes to business, you know? Like, look at the current president of the United States. He's not necessarily the arbiter of health. But obviously he's made it up there, so there's some level that I need to reach when I have a conversation with that man. You know, with George Lucas, like, he might not know, like, I'm from Brazil, he might not know nothing about Brazil, and I'm going to a convention, we're going to talk about Brazil. So like I'm going to feel confident no matter who's in the room. If it's all Americans, I'm going to be pretty damn confident, you know. But when it comes to like a woman and like she's in business and she goes up against a guy, like, a lot of guys are going to think like, I could take advantage of this lady because like she looks sweet, she looks kind, all that stuff, and into an environment that is the jungle. It is not kind, it is not sweet. Everybody in there has to be a shark. And what she said, you have to be prepared, you know. And because of the media, a lot of people have that subconscious prejudice. It's not because they're bad people, but, you know, like, a lot of people do look up through echo chambers, and regardless of the intention of that news outlet, they're doing something that isn't their intention, and they have an intent, and it's affecting you. And that's an understanding that we all have to really grasp. I'm telling you, we all have to understand that. So yeah, her being a woman and being black in a business meeting, the number one thing she could do is be prepared, which is just a regular thing that everybody should do, regardless of what you are or what color you happen to be born with. You know, just be prepared on the task that you're going to
talks a lot about persistence,
taken, you know,
because that was a big part of him being able to get all of his Star Wars movies made.
Yeah,
he
persistence.
couldn't give up on that.
By the way, nobody believed in Star Wars when he was.
Thank you so much. We're going to go to Zaida. Zaida is our next 7th grader who has a question for you.
Hi, my name is Zaida. I'm in the 7th grade. And recently, so many people in our country have been protesting for racial justice. And my question for you is, what is your opinion of the violence that has occurred during these protests? And have you ever witnessed protests like these in your lifetime?
Yeah, it's witnessed way worse.
This will be a great question for both of us, because George lived during the 60s when there was a lot of protests. And this is my first version of this at this level. I've never seen anything like this in my life, especially where it's been international. What is my opinion? My opinion is, first and foremost, unequivocally, Black Lives Matter. I'll say it over and over again. I'll say it in a boardroom. I'll say it on television. I think it's a very, very important statement that we need people to understand. Secondly, I never, ever, ever condone violence. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in trying to make a point by hurting someone. However, and the people that I most admire and respect that have walked this planet are Jesus, Gandhi, Mandela, King. Those are the people that I look to and I say, they did something very, very special.
King, Mandela, love, and Jesus, hate, from what I know, they did use violence at one point.
Or anything like that. And so they're the ones that when I think in my mind, what should I do? I literally ask myself, what would they say? Or what would they do? But lastly, I will say, even though I don't condone the violence in any way, I understand it. 50%, 50% of African employees, I say, what do you do if your children are hungry? I think I know.
Wait. Again, I don't like it when people focus on the opposite race to like point something out. Like, hey, like my white counterparts, like, what would you do? Assuming that they would never go through something like that. You know, what happens to us matters. Like, you're like, how should I put it? Hard times do not discriminate. Evil does not discriminate. Good does not discriminate. Like, challenges and adversity do not discriminate. Everybody will face them, you know, regardless of color, regardless. And you're gonna, if you are open to understanding people and you're not so focused on telling your story and being like oh, we like, there's no way I'm gonna let somebody out struggle me. Like, you know, you'll find that somebody might have a worse story than you and might be from, I guess, a race that you feel surprised with, or the opposite of your race, or whatever it is you put it. I still think it's ridiculous to focus on race in a form of hatred. Like, we could talk about hard conversations and things that people have gone through without attacking somebody's race and then being like, you can't say this because you're not the right color, you can't do this because you're not the right color, and like, my people suffered, your people did not suffer, blah 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 blah. Which is all everything comes down to, when it comes to race talk, from what I've noticed, is people with a lack of education of the entire planet, of what's happened in this world. Like, yeah, I didn't like how she said that.
We were hungry. And I know that if my 6-year-old were hungry, I'm not sure what I would do. Hopefully I would not hurt someone, but I certainly understand the rage and the anger that exists, because the economic inequality in this country is inarguable. Just like George Floyd had a knee on his neck, our Black and brown communities have knees on our economic prosperity, on the necks of our prosperity. And when you get blood to your head, you die. And so we are literally and figuratively fighting for our lives. And so that's why I understand us taking to the streets. I love the comment that Barack Obama, one of my heroes, said, you know, when you think about protesting, sometimes young people think they protest with their phone. And he said, a hashtag is not a protest. And all of this is obviously reminiscent of the 60s. And this was a time when George was around.
That is a true statement. A hashtag isn't a protest.
And John Lewis and so many other leaders trying to show America what was wrong.
Here's something I hate about protests, especially here in the U.S., is like, you're in the street, and usually the wrong street. Like, don't you want to be tactful? Like, if you want to make noise, like, why don't you go to the street where the news station is, so they could film it, they could make it go viral, whatever. But like, you're on the highway in Brazil, that's not gonna fly. You're gonna get run over, and that guy's not gonna go to jail, because what are you doing in the middle of the street with a green light? It's insane. Like, and shouldn't you be protesting the people that you should be targeting not in a violent way, targeting the people who you think should be held responsible or could make a difference, and be loud if you want to. I don't really agree on protests. I think it's important that the people have power and voice to the government that they are not in control, the people are in control. Totally agree on that. But you're like just interrupting people's lives, like innocent people who are just trying to make a living, just trying to live another day, go to work, go home to their families, and try to close their eyes, to do it all over again without putting the barrel of a gun in the back of their throat. And you're making it harder for them. You're not making it harder for whatever change that you believe needs to happen. I don't see protests like working all that well. You know, I just think it's a nice little piece.
Inequality in our society. Maybe you have an opinion of that, George, during that period.
Well, protests have gone on since the beginning of time. You know, these kind of fighting for your rights was very, very big in the 20s. It was very big before that. There has been lots and lots of people.
I want to point out, there's a movie, Remember the Titans. They protested in front of a store where the owner shot a black kid, right? So the protest was in front of that store. Makes sense. You know, like, if you're going to protest, like, if you think the government isn't doing something about it, why don't you go to the governor's mansion and protest there? But you're just going to protest, like, on some random street that's in the way of everything? Like, are you retarded? Like, come on. Like, pick the right target. Like, if I find out somebody that's Asian shot up my house, you think I'm just going to go find a random Asian and shoot him up? Maybe I should go target the right dude. Like, it ain't rocket science. And that is actually the term for an eye, because that's what protests are. Like, somebody hurt me, I gotta go hurt you. Maybe, but in a different way. It just means justice needs to prevail. You know, like, you do something to me, now something's gonna happen to you. I might not be taking your eye, like, you shot me in the eye. I might not shoot you in the eye, but you're going to lose an ability to see a part of your life come to a realization. You probably won't be successful after this. It's whatever it is that you're gonna do. You know, somebody did something violent to you, you could have justice without violence back. That happens. So, yeah, I just don't think. I think protests, you need to have an understanding on, if you're gonna go protest, what are the ramifications, what is your belief, and what risk you're taking, and if you're going to actually be effective. It's pretty damn simple.
So that's the only way you can actually get your voice out there to say this is what we believe in. And of course, it really has to do with when you're in a situation where the government and the people don't listen. You have to stand up and speak your piece. The secret, ultimately, like in Star Wars, is that you have to not be afraid. Fear is the enemy. Fear is the dark side.
Yeah.
If you're afraid, you're going to the dark side. The light side is compassion. As long as you love other people and treat them kindly, you won't be afraid. So the secret is to just love everybody. And I know that sounds very 60s, but that's what I grew up in. But it's fear that it causes. And you have to stop being afraid and be kind to people. That is, and all the people that she quoted, and the main theme of Star Wars is that compassion is the good side, fear is the bad side.
So beautiful. I want you guys to be president and vice president. Melody, you'll have to be president.
Wait. Who's president?
You are. You are. Black presidents matter.
That's right.
George Lucas, can you please talk about where you got this wisdom?
Is this guy white?
About in your upbringing, and
I
Melody,
can't tell.
you spoke so, no pun intended, you speak so lyrically, and about your life and how it's led to your beautiful manifestation of who you are. George Lucas, can you share the same? I mean, it's so beautiful. I didn't know that fear was the dark side, but it resonates with me in terms of
so you're not a
my
Star
own
Wars fan,
experience.
because
Can you
that's
talk about where you
that's
got
like
your
the first
wisdom
thing
from?
you understand
Going from, where were you at the age of
in
12
Star
that
Wars.
got you to this point where you're saying such things now?
Well, it came from my experience in college, and I became very, very fascinated in anthropology, and I became very interested in how societies govern themselves, grow, become something. You can't really have a society unless you have a common belief system. And then there are people who are very greedy or
Yeah.
afraid. The thing
And that's and like one of the reasons why people claim America is the greatest country in the world is actually a lost conversation that nobody really has anymore nowadays. He's right. Like, in order for civilization to grow, like, unfortunately, how it's always kind of worked is everybody believes in the same thing, the same religion, the same, so colonizing, the same belief system, the same, culture, all that stuff. And America was the first one where, like, they got all the cultures, they got every belief system, and everybody was able to kind of commingle and grow this country. And it is a beautiful thing. It is. There's pros and cons in every culture and every race. There is. That's just a fact. And so America's true culture is taking the good of every culture and combining. That's the truth of America's culture. And it's still being navigated to this day. There's still complications, because right now the main issue is going back and creating sects. Like, what you see politically is I have this belief system, I have this religion, everybody should believe in this religion and believe in this belief system. I have these set of principles. If you don't believe in these set of principles, you should get out of my presence before I kill you. Like that. That's the kind of stuff that you're seeing nowadays from right, left, up, down, whatever you want to believe. And people are like, oh, if they find out, like, oh, you believe this, I'm not talking to you. Oh, you believe this, I'm not talking to you. How are we friends? Like, families are breaking up because of this stuff. And it's a sad thing, because it's not about, like, everybody having to believe in, like, we have the system, but you're now trying to make you're now trying to target the system that has progressed with growth. And it's not to say it can't progress more because of the issues it currently has, but if you're just going to target it and you think the best way to do it is destruction, then then that's a problem. And I'm not trying to make all this political, because I'm trying to point out, like, kind of the principles of Star Wars and all that stuff, and that's the point of one of the very big plot points is the rise and fall of civilizations. And so when we stop accepting truth as a fact, and then people create their own truths, then that's the first sign of the downfall of a civilization. If anybody who studies Rome, just Rome, if you don't want to study anything else, like, pick a civilization that doesn't exist anymore, that prospered. Go study about it, whichever one you want to pick. You see there's a common pattern: confusion of sexuality, no more, like, crazier and crazier laws, a lot of promiscuity, a lot more, like, when I say promiscuity, I mean, like, sex on the streets, like oh, everybody's free, like, you could, like, kids and adults are just naked walking around, and it's fine and everything. Among the rich and the poor, the lack, like, you can't share your opinion, like constricting speech. Those are all very big signs of, and actually, like, a growth of a civilization has protests, and also the fall of a civilization has protests as well. So those kind of things, that's what, like Rome was able to delay because of entertainment. They were able to delay the fall of Rome because of entertainment. Like the Colosseums, plays, and promiscuous entertainment coming privately to homes, things like that. Legalization of prostitution, that was a big thing. But yeah,
people who are greedy is that they fear. Their whole soul is drenched in fear, and they're afraid they're not going to get all the things they want: power, wealth, fame,
respect,
and they'll do anything to get it. Then when they get it, they're afraid they're going to lose it. So they live in fear their whole life.
Attachments.
So remember that about people who are not nice. They live in fear. Fear is not a happy thing to live with. You're always afraid that somebody's going to take your stuff away from you.
I like how they are trying to keep the kids pure,
with your
not nice.
With your life, and it's the same thing with the people you love. You have to understand that the reality of nature and God and life is that things come and things go. They do not stay in your life. And you have to learn to accept the fact that it is a continuum that you're just a part of, and the things will be there and then they won't be there. So enjoy them and love them while they're there, and then be happy that they've gone someplace else. But you have to decide that you can't hold on to people, because the pain of losing somebody or losing something is your pain. It's not the pain of, that person. It's your pain of losing that person being with you. And you have to be able to overcome that. Otherwise, you just suffer your whole life.
So beautiful.
At Ariel, I had a colleague who
I know I'm pausing a lot, but I think this is really important stuff. It is your pain, and that's why you shouldn't take for granted. Like, you shouldn't take for granted the people that are around you, because you're gonna go through a lot more pain if you're treating somebody terribly. Because then you're going to be able to reflect when they die and be like, man, maybe something wasn't as serious, or maybe you were wrong in many parts, or maybe you could have let some things go, and you could have still had arguments with that person, but you wouldn't have had hatred, and maybe you would have done less damage to them while they were here, and you realize that life was too short, but it's also too late now because they have gone. So you're most likely gonna suffer for much longer than a normal grievance would be, So yeah, it is your pain. If you're attached to something like, I love Yu-Gi-Oh cards, right? I have a ton of them. If the house burned down and I lost them all, it's gonna be a very sad day when I'm thinking about that. But I could also go buy them. I just need to have a very good job and not care about the price and have that as a luxury, right? But if the house burned down and I go save those cards, but I lose a kid, how much am I gonna hate those cards, and how much I'm gonna hate the kid, or hate that I lost a kid, So, your value of things can change, but also if you are attached to everything because you gain everything through hate and you believe that, you're an evil person, so you don't have love, you have attachments. And then those attachments are your love. So then everything you have is a loss of love. And that's what he was trying to get at with Star Wars. It's okay to love, but attachments, it's a problem. You need to train yourself to let go.
Told me they were leaving, and I was so devastated. So devastated. And George looked at me and he said, well, first of all, Melody, there are over 300 million Americans. If you found her, there's another one. Secondly, Jedi don't hold on. And he's like, and you're a Jedi master, so you don't hold on. And I just shifted. And when I sent her note, goodbye and good luck and have a good life, my subject matter was Jedi, don't hold on. I cannot hold on to you. And I learned that from George.
Is it something you also learn with your children? Because there is a point in your life where you have to let them go and be on their own. And it's a very hard thing to do. You're starting to reach that period. And it's a great consternation from your parents that you're going to be off to college, you're going to be having your own life, you're going to have your own house, and you will constantly hear, why don't you call me more? Why don't you come home for this function or that function? And it's, you know, it's a natural thing, but the more you hold on, the more painful it is. And if you just let people go, as I say, if you hold on to if you have a bird in your hand and you hold it too tight because you don't want it to go and fly, eventually you'll crush it. So the important part is to let it go and fly off and be on its own. It'll come back, and the love will be even stronger.
Amazing, amazing.
We're going to go to...
Well, let me ask you both this. I mean, I'm sorry to cut in, but
the guy's more excited than the kids.
Does a particular world faith connect to your understandings of things? And Melody, you mentioned Jesus, and then both of you were talking about this notion of non-attachment and things passing, and that resonates with Buddhism. Do you follow a particular faith, or did you come on these understandings independently? It's wonderfully update and lyrical, and also deep and feels ancient.
Well, you got to remember, I'm from California. I'm from San Francisco. You know, the Zen Buddhism capital of the United States. But at the same time,
okay, so I guess it is
in my
the capital
study
of the United
of
States.
anthropology, which is basically the study of different religions and different ways of thinking of things, you know, my kids ask me, what are we? What am I? I say, well, we're Methodist Buddhists. Which, and you discover in anthropology that, you know, there's, well, one way, which I've said, which is when I was about, I don't know, 7 years old, the age of my daughter, I asked my mother, if there's so many different religions, why is there only one God? And she couldn't answer that. But if there's only one God, you realize that the religions are a manifestation of man or woman, but it's man. But the God is still there. It's just we don't know what it is or what it looks like or what it is. But the one thing it has constantly done, and in all religions, is God is love.
Beautiful.
Yep.
For me, I grew up, my mother was Pentecostal. And so I used to I was one of those kids who had church all day on Sunday. I mean, like, we had lunch and dinner at church. And until I was about 12 years old, actually. And when I was 12 years old, I went to my mother and I said, I have so much homework, I cannot do this. I have to stay home. So my family would go to church on Sundays and I would stay home and do my homework. Then I went to a Catholic school. And I went to a Catholic school where I was taught by Jesuits.
Always
and
religious
Jesuits
stuff.
are really famous. They're the order of priests, an order of priests. They're really famous for questioning everything. Mm-hmm. And so I was taught in Catholic school to question everything. I was also taught in my Catholic school to study all religions.
By the way, Jesuits are
the first
rare.
thing that they did was they told me when I started school, they said, you are a Judeo-Christian. That was a new term for me. That Christianity, you know, was born in Judaism. And so first thing we did was study Judaism in a very significant way, which is obviously first Old Testament, New Testament. So long story short, without getting too philosophical, that became my foundation. Then I studied all other religions in high school, Buddhism, Jainism. I mean, I could just go on and on with all the religions that we studied, because their point of view was you need to know everything in order to decide what you believe, as opposed to forcing us to believe something. And ultimately, that worldview really shaped me. And I didn't choose one, I chose all the pieces of different ones that really spoke to me. And that's really the way I go through life. I have the memories of my mother in the Pentecostal church with the feigning and the passing out and the speaking in tongues. And then I also have the Catholic Mass with all of its order in Latin, and then understanding all of the religions. George and I went to see the Dalai Lama once because I really, really wanted to meet him. George had already met him, but I really wanted to meet him, so we went to see him. And it was deeply, I walked into the room with him and I just started crying. I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop. The only time that ever happened to me before is when I met Nelson Mandela. I was overwhelmed by his presence and I felt God. And he's not a God. He says he's not. But there's something in him that is so weighty and you feel so much humanity in him that I was really overwhelmed. And George was there and saw the whole thing. So I'm very much a believer in the spiritual. But maybe I've done it a la carte.
Yeah. Well, it resonates.
I like how they talked about their journey and they didn't
Methodist preacher,
really
but I got a meditation practice.
tell them what their true belief is, because they believe that the
you
kids should figure out themselves.
Spark of the divine. It's like this is why everyone loves Melody Hobson and one of my heroes has chosen well by getting you to go be his partner. I've got. You guys are, it's just amazing. But I got Jeremiah Camacho, one of our 8th graders, who has a question about Star Wars. So we'll go from the sublime to the sublime.
Cool background, Jeremiah.
Well, thank you. My name is Jeremiah. I'm in the 7th grade, and I really like Star Wars. So my question for you is, the world has changed so much since the first Star Wars movie. How do you think the changes in the fights for racial justice will impact the Star Wars universe going forward?
I don't know. I mean, I've kind of lost control of Star Wars, so it's going off in a different path than what I intended. But the first 6 are very much mine and my philosophy. And I think that philosophy sort of goes beyond any particular time, because it's based on history, it's based on philosophy, it's based on a lot of things. And the first 3 basically tell you how a democracy turns into a dictatorship, and you end up with a tyrant, the emperor. It's a very important now, where we are now in our political history. The other part was that in there, it's like, I purposely, all of the various colors and shapes of the aliens and everything that live in that world, it's a normal situation. There's no real discrimination. The only discrimination is against robots. And we haven't really reached that period yet. And
a very distinct thing that's different. Like if you look at a lot of the Disney stuff, there's discrimination towards aliens, there's discrimination, like they couldn't just keep it at robots, and that was actually a major part of like, hey, even somewhat of a perfect coexistence can still have their own discrimination. Even good can discriminate against what they don't understand, which would be robots, which would be your droids, so that's I think that's a very good thing to point out, that Disney has failed to understand or care to understand.
Robots will be able to overcome it because they don't have the same feelings. But it really shows you in terms of the way politics are and the way things are, how to fight those ideas. And a lot of it really has to do with overcoming fear. The thing that brought, and also the movies, the thing with Anakin is that he started out a great kid. He was very compassionate. So the issue was, is how did he turn bad? How did he go to the dark side? And he went to the dark side by, the Jedis are not supposed to have attachments. They can love people, they can do it, but they can't attach. That's the problem when you get in the world of fear. Once you're attached to something, then you become afraid of losing it. And when you became afraid of losing it, then you turn to the dark side and you want to hold on to it. And that's what Anakin's issue was ultimately, is he wanted to hold on to his wife, who he knew he had a premonition that she was going to die. He didn't know how to stop it, so he went to the dark side.
Don't know how to cope.
To find, in mythology and everything, they go to Hades and you talk to the devil, and the devil says, this is what you do. And basically you sell your soul to the devil. When you do that, then you're afraid and you're on the dark side and you fall off the golden path of compassion because you are greedy. You want to hold on to something that you love, and he didn't do it. And as a result, he turned bad.
So the thing about that is, George, you're saying with the movies, there's the time, it's not of a time, but the lessons are timeless, right?
Yeah, they're timeless. They've been around for thousands of years. They're based on ancient mythology. Mythology was designed ultimately to give a society the tools they need to be a society, which means they have to have a common belief system. They have to believe in the same gods. They have to believe who their leaders are. They have to believe what their history is. They have to believe who their heroes are. Those are the things that combine to make a society. If you don't have those things, then you don't have a society. The interesting thing that we're going through now is the United States was a conglomerate of a lot of different ideas and things, and it was the first beginning of globalization where we began to respect others.
Like I just pointed out.
Who look differently, who think differently, who have different gods, but at the end, you have to have that cohesion. And we were beginning to get it for the whole world. We now split apart, but I think we'll get there someday. But that is the most important thing, is that you respect other people, you respect what they're doing, and you realize that we're part of a symbiotic relationship, meaning that we all help each other. That's the ecology of what we're in. If you take some of the gears out of the watch, it won't work anymore. And taking some of the gears out of the world means it won't work anymore. We know that from extinction of animals. We know it from global warming. We know that we have to all be one in order to go forward. A lot of people don't like that idea. They hate it and they're fighting against it. But we have to do that in order to survive on this planet. And there's only two ways to survive in the world. One is to adapt, which is to, if you're a fish, you grow legs and you get on land, or you migrate. And migrating for us, I mean, adapting is, we've got a lot of adapting to do, but we are trying to do it. But the other one is to migrate. And if you're living in a pond and the pond is drying up and you're going to die with it, you have to learn to migrate to another pond. What we're trying to do now is to migrate to another planet. And you say, well, what's that going to do? Because the sun's going to go away pretty soon, a couple million years. And now we only have a couple million years to figure out how to get from our planets, which we will soon be on Mars and some of the other planets, to another galaxy. I mean, not another galaxy, I'm sorry, to another solar system. One that's not dying. And that's a hard thing to do. Right now, it's completely impossible because you have to go faster than the speed of light. But unless we figure out how to do that, we're not going to survive, because eventually this sun is going to go out, our planet's going to die, and everything with it. So you have to think long term. So it's like far, far away in a galaxy far, far away, a long, long time ago. This is the long, long time ago. And we have to go and catch up so that we can so the humans especially can survive. The planet will survive. I mean, eventually it'll blow up and it's just a bunch of rocks, but at the same time,
we're going to tell that to the kids, George.
Survive, and you have to understand that. And that's part of
eventually all this is gonna
but at the same time
is gonna be destroyed.
we don't have to, people say, well, let's talk about it. That's millions of years away. It's like the grasshopper and the ant, where the grasshopper is collecting, the ants are collecting food for the winter, and the grasshopper doesn't do it. And therefore, when the snow comes, the grasshopper has to come and ask for help because he was making fun of them. But it's that you have to prepare for the future, and that's basically what humankind can do, as opposed to a lot of other life forms. The only lot of the life forms that can go through, can fly through space and survive on all kinds of strange worlds are microorganisms. They're everywhere, and there are trillions of them. They outnumber humans, and even in your body.
Yeah, I think his principle, he wanted to turn the force into microorganisms.
So you got to say, and that's where the idea of the secret, that's where the idea of the wills come from. The wills are microorganisms, and they help create the energy, which is what mitochondria do, which are in your cells. That's the energy that makes your cells divide, which makes life. And they feed on life. That's what the force is. The force is life.
So it's an interesting point because it does go back to when you say the current riots and some of the protests that we've had in this country. You weave that all back together, and it goes back to this point of the need to get along. And getting along becomes very, very important. So people are fighting for rights that will make them equal, which is exactly the right thing to do. We've had many moments in world history where this has occurred. Unfortunately, we keep reliving the same stories over and over again, new complexions, different people. Even if you look at America, the waves of injustice that occurred by ethnicity. And we just have to keep pushing forward. And this power is not relinquished easily.
Well, I'd like to also say to Jeremiah that I have three.
Yeah, also, again, like, I understand the corruption of my country, and I also understand the corruption of the U.S., and I think not many people talk about its process. Here's a pretty big deal. When there is this high level of corruption, the first thing they did, and this happened to the U.S., I would say about 50 years ago is when it kind of solidified. The people started fearing the government. Once the government can make you reliant on them and make you fear them, then like that's it. Like you as a group, like for instance, nobody gets together and fight against taxes, but we all kind of have the same belief system that taxation is theft. And even if you don't believe that, we all have the belief system that, like, we don't know, like, the fact is we don't know where all our taxes are going to. We have the speculation without proof, but it's almost undeniable that politicians are taking taxes, pocketing it, and making a ton of money. Because, like, you can't tell me a governor's salary is, like $50,000 a year, and how are they a millionaire? It's pretty, and, like, they weren't a millionaire before, but they are after they got into the office. Like, that's a pretty clear sign that something's not right, like something less than honest is going on, right? And so, but because of the fear, like, if you look at, there's certain laws in the tax code, I recommend everybody go look it up yourself. I'm going to say allegedly because they are quite I believe they are very much corrupt, the most corrupt organization. But allegedly, they cannot force you to pay your tax. The law is that if you don't file your taxes, that's against the law. When you decide to pay them, allegedly, let's just say the timing can be different, possibly. Because I'm not a tax expert, do not look for tax advice from me. but look closely to the laws of what they can do and what they can't do in terms of arrest, if they can or cannot arrest you if you file your taxes but don't pay your tax. Look that up, and I guarantee you everybody will be surprised. But that's the thing, but nobody's gonna collect together. Like, if you put a post tomorrow like, hey, we are protesting against the IRS because of its supposed power or view of power, then people are not gonna do it. Like, I could be the most famous person tomorrow in the world, and like, hey, we're gonna protest against the IRS. Who's with me? Maybe I could get some people, but it's not gonna be all. It's probably not gonna be half the country. It's probably not gonna be half the state or half the city. You know, it's not gonna be a whole lot of people. And so they did a good job. And again, it's about withholding information, withholding intelligence, or making a group of people dumb and then utilizing that group of people who are dumb to weaponize certain things, certain movements. And the U.S. has been very tactful and malicious in that sort of intent. And it's a sad thing. And I'm not saying, when I say the U.S., I mean the government and some people within the government, usually the majority. Obviously, there has been good people in office. I will concede to that, and I do agree that there are currently good people on whatever side you want to believe they are in, but they do want the best for the American people. I think the way things are going about isn't the best. The people aren't in offices are not the best, but we the people, like the president, should fear the individual American. You know, like, he works for the American people. He doesn't work like the American people do not work for him. The IRS, you know, like, we control if we give money to the IRS. If everybody stopped paying the IRS, you don't think they'll freak out? You know? So that's I think everybody needs to understand that right now, it doesn't matter who you are. Even if you say, like, yeah, I'm against the government, you still fear the government, because you're not. It's really hard to be the first one to call something out that you know could potentially end your life tomorrow and hurt the people you love, because corruption, it's an evil thing. It's not a bad thing. It's an evil thing, because whatever their intentions are, they're gonna have to use dishonest and hurtful and violent ways to accomplish their task, and that's just the reality.
And they used to call me Jeremiah. That was their nickname for me.
Why?
I have no idea where it came from.
That's new information for me.
So
all right, we're gonna. You guys are so agile, so we're gonna do another pivot. Melody Hobson, you're the first capitalist I have heard talk about so beautifully affirming the capitalist system, because you talk about your work and you quoted another renowned financial thinker in terms of saying that we have to look at as if this is curing cancer. But you talk about your work, which is about numbers, and it's about a bottom line, and it's about metrics. But at the same time, you talk about things that might seem a little more ethereal, like compassion and an ability to cast yourself into the future, and in terms of philanthropy. Can you talk? We've got somebody on, Corey, who's in the 8th grade, who wants to know about aerial investments and how that fits in with some of the things that George has been talking about. And also, and this is a brilliant question too, he wants to know a typical day in the life of both of you. So I'm going to put Corey, Catherine's going to get Corey on this. Hi, Corey.
All these kids seem like sweet kids, especially Corey. Look at this guy. There's a sweet kid right there.
Corey. I'm in 7th grade, and my question for you my first question for you, Ms. Hodgson, is can you tell us how an investment firm works? And for a question for both of you is, what does an average day in each of your lives look like?
Okay, so I'll start. So what does an investment firm do? I can make this super simple. So, and also why it's important. So I'm a very strong believer that finances affect our lives in every way. And if you're worried about money, it leads to a whole host of problems, including mental, physical. It's just not good for your health. So I want everyone to be financially secure. And I especially want that of Black and Brown people, because we don't learn about investing usually in school in America. And that's a travesty.
And
so
that's
we don't
that's
what
for
the stock market is.
that's for everyone. The only reason that white people in the U.S. Know more about it is just because that you could say it's the system or whatever, but it's because there's more successful white people than there are of other races, I guess. And one beautiful thing about the U.S., doesn't matter the race, rich people here, they are more willing to talk to you and help you become rich. They very much are. You should see it like in Brazil. Like, they're not willing to talk to you. They look at you like you're a cockroach. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you look like. You could look like a relative of theirs if you don't have the money. A lot of rich people in Brazil are like that. Not all of them, but I'm talking about in the general sense. And in the general sense here, like, I met some freaking loser douchebag rich people, but most of the time of the rich people I've met, they've always been willing to talk to you and share their insights, and if they have time and all that. So it's a beautiful thing here in the U.S. that rich people want to help others become rich and at least financially stable.
Between stocks and bonds, why is it important to save and invest? All of these things, because no one ever taught us. And if you don't grow up in a home where these issues are discussed, you're really behind the 8 ball. And yet at the end of the day, it can be life-saving. So I'm a big believer in capitalism and the capitalist system. And I think that system is the best system in the world. There's no other one that has been better. However, it needs to work for everyone, and currently it doesn't. And one way to make it work for everyone is to make sure we're all financially literate. What I do
she's onto something.
Is we manage stock portfolios for individuals, anyone who can give us $50 a month, someone's kids' college saving money or their retirement money. And then we manage stock portfolios for big institutions, pension funds. It could be for the state of New York, which is one of our clients, or a company like Pepsi, which is one of our clients, or an endowment and foundation like a university or a school. And our job is to grow their money so they have the opportunity to pay pensioners, people who are retired, or to give more scholarships away at a school, or to just have more money for a family to be able to pass on money to their heirs. So that is what I do every day. And so I usually have CNBC on my screen, and our team invests by looking at stocks that are trading all over the world, not just in America. And we try to buy really great businesses when they're out of favor, when no one wants them.
That's smart.
For whatever reason, they're misunderstood,
super
ignored,
smart,
underfollowed. So what might we do in the middle of the recent stock market crash that we had in March because of the pandemic? One of the areas that just got totally trashed was anything related to, believe it or not, this sounds so perfunctory, you couldn't go to a dentist.
Using too many big words for these kids, man. Perfunctory.
The dentists use. So you'd say, well, why'd you buy that company? Because we said eventually people will go back to the dentist. And right now they may not have any customers and their stock may have gotten slammed, but over the long term, they'll go back to a dentist. Or we bought a hotel company because no one was in hotels, but we say, if they can survive this, they'll ultimately be fine, because one day this will be over and people will return to doing that. So we're trying to find these great businesses when no one wants to own them. And our goal is to hold on to them for the long term. And it's tons of companies, you know. We've owned companies like, right now we own Smucker. Smucker has Jif and
Never heard of
Jif
this company.
peanut butter and Smucker's
Oh,
jelly.
sick.
You know that company.
I know
They're
Jif.
based in Orrville, Ohio.
I know
Their street is
Jif.
Strawberry Lane. We just sold Tiffany's, the retailer, because they another company in France. And you know them, they have that blue
Man, the
color.
freaking
and they're on
French,
Fifth
dude.
Avenue in New York. You may have seen them there, or you may have seen stories about Tiffany's as a jeweler. They've never had a sale in the history of the company. And when they get a jewelry design wrong, they just melt it down and start over. Maybe you've seen people with those Tiffany keychains or lockets that have a little, I know young women love them, that have little hearts on them with your initials carved into them or something like that. A lot of people get those for graduation presents. So that's what we do. We look around
Never even
the world
heard
for
of that.
things to buy.
Again, I think that's where like the disconnect is. Like at least growing up, and everybody I know, like, they talk about jewelry, but they don't really talk about like that locket. This is the first time me hearing about kind of locket, and I don't think I've ever seen one, honestly. Maybe in her circles that's common. Maybe back in the day it was common, but like I don't even know if these kids like. I do notice that whenever I was struggling with money, like high-end brands are more in your face. Like you kind of feel that more. And I noticed a lot of people who are struggling usually talk about jewelry way more often. Just something I picked up on.
And we own them for a long time. Another company that we own that you would know, Madison Square Garden Enterprises. They own Madison Square Garden, and they own Radio City Music Hall, and they own a number of other important venues around the country, as an example. And you probably didn't know that you could buy that as a stock and own a piece of it.
Can you get rid of Jim Dolan?
Good Lord. That guy just
He's
yelled.
been good for us. He's done well for us. I know their team has not been doing so well, but that's a different part of the business. That's
So that's what I like. Like some people that don't understand, like she knows intimately the business, and she obviously studies it. So she's gonna point out, like she's gonna defend somebody who is actually doing the right job, but like maybe other people don't know, because what's the media say? Like the guy said, can you get rid of this guy because she's, part owner of the business. He's like, no, he's actually been good for us. Their team is struggling. There's people in the team that need to be gone so that they could get back on track. And that happens quite a bit, especially in the media. If the business is really in the face of the media, like it's always like, for instance, here's a little Kathleen Kennedy. You think she's the only one that's been effing up Indiana Jones, Lucasfilm, as a whole, Star Wars? Like, let's just say Star Wars. You don't think Dave Filoni has had a hand in the freaking, like, molestation, abomination that is Star Wars today? You don't think he was a part of it? You don't think any other employees were a part of it? Of course they were, man. So, yeah. Like, this is a good point. This is good for you guys to see, like, especially like the business owner mind and what they're privy to, what they see. It's very different than what the media just says. And by all accounts, the guy could also be at fault too, but she has a reason of why she's defending the dude.
Garden Sports, because they broke it up into two different companies. So one is the venue and one is the teams, and then there's one that is all the media. So that's my day, is talking to our clients, people that we invest for. I spend a lot of time writing. I'm on the phone a lot.
It sounds like a boring life.
I travel all the time. I go and see our customers, because we could have an account that's $200 million or $300 million, and they want me to come and tell them what's going on with their money. And so I sit with them and I talk about how we're performing, when we're doing well, when we're not doing well, what stocks are helping us and what stocks are hurting us. George is very different now, because he doesn't make movies, on a day-to-day basis anymore like he used to. And I did get to see a glimpse of him when he was making movies, in terms of what that day is like, which is pretty grueling. But now he's building a museum, so he'll tell you about that.
Yeah, I'm sort of just.
I think it's finishing up this year.
Being a hobby architect, building buildings, and at the same time working on a museum, which is a museum of narrative art, which is saying that ultimately art in the beginning and still tells a narrative of society. That's how people come together and have a common belief system, because in the beginning, and even a lot of places now, people don't know how to read or write. And so you can give speeches, but it doesn't resonate that much. But especially in ancient times, if you go into a city, they had statues of their heroes, they have mosaics of their religion, they had statues of the leader who's ever running the country.
They even had it in their homes.
Those are all things that
to tell their lineage.
Told people in a very emotional way. It's done emotionally, not intellectually, that this is who we are. And it's kind of a controversial idea, but I got it through anthropology and I believe in it. And so I'm building a museum that really is based on the aspirations of a society. And everybody says, well, you got
that is
comics
interesting.
and comic art. I said, that's what people believe in the United States. And
that is American culture.
Illustration, Norman Rockwell.
Hell yeah.
Frida Kahlo. These are things that people believe in. That's what their aspirations are. And so it sort of tells you a lot about a society. And so the museum I'm building is sort of a way of connecting with what the society believes in. It's especially, I think, relevant today when we're fracturing all that up. In the end, it's, I believe it's all got to come together and be homogenized, because we're the human race. We're not a bunch of separate races. We're one race. And the sooner we understand that and begin to accept the sort of eccentricity of other races and other societies, the more we'll grow and become smarter people, but also the conflict that we have will go away.
I know we're coming up on our time, so we.
Yeah. Beautifully put. I think it's good to end that video there. There's a little more to it. Things that may or may not piss you off. Sometimes it seems like it's a little too good to be true at times, but I think overall you kind of got the idea of this is how George Lucas and his wife thinks, and I think it's a beautiful thing. I think they were explicit when they needed to be, and they understood really how the questions were asked and how they may not be the best questions to answer, I really like that they navigated, they did point out races, but they really pointed out mainly that we are everybody needs to get along and everybody struggles, and this is the basis. Everybody needs to be like this is how we could help everybody, all that stuff, right? There's more to this video. Feel free to go watch it. I think that was good to understand that point, and to really point out this is why George Lucas is the great man he is, his wife, and the museum I'm actually pretty excited for. But the sad thing is that we don't really understand why he sold it. I think as a group, as a fandom, okay, one of the reasons he sold it, understand their heart, right? They're not perfect people, but they obviously care about people. George Lucas has pointed out in other interviews that he wanted to do his own things, his own ideas, but they kind of pointed out in the beginning, Like he probably does. Let me see. One. Let's actually see. I think towards the end of this interview, because I remember like this background, he does talk about like the important thing is to follow your passions. So hold on.
Be cognizant of that for you.
Yeah, out of respect to both of you, I'm reluctant to finish, but we'll do that. As I started out, I am so grateful to Devin, and on a more visceral level.
I'm gonna have to send that to him.
No. No, you really, your story is spectacular, but you also have a way to distill it through an amazing narrative ability. I think
having some audio problems, but it just reminds
that through the course of your lifetimes, and you certainly done it now. You really, she is blessed amongst young women for having such wonderful in the young. Thank you, Devin, for you, Melody Hobson, and you crushed them. And again, small common dog under the wheel of a Formula One car. I don't know. Sorry, it was gruesome. I'm sorry. I went to the dark side on that, but it's just an amazing day for all of us. So Catherine, you bring it back to Melody. She can say a few more words, and we'll fade out to silence.
Okay.
I'd like to just say one thing that is important for 12-year-olds, which was things that I was taught. I had a mentor who was a very wise man, and he said, "Go through life and follow your bliss," which means follow what you enjoy. And that's what I did. My father wanted me to go work in a store that he owned and become a merchant. I did not want to do that. And it was a big deal between us when I said, I'm going to go do something else. And I found, by exploring through college and other things, what I love to do, which is to, ultimately I wanted to be an illustrator, then I wanted to be an anthropologist, and then I went to film school on accident. And
he's obviously shortening the story. He did want to be a race car driver in the beginning and got into a few accidents, and but like through all of it, he was doing everything at the same time. Wanted to be an anthropologist, all that stuff, and it really like led him to the path. Like sometimes you have to actually try a bunch of things that you might have a love for visually, and even when you get hands-on, but then you realize that's taking you down a different path that you'll fall in love with more later.
Found my bliss. I found the thing that I loved more than anything. It's much more important than going out and trying to get a job, and we're the opposite. She likes to make money. That's her bliss. That's what I like, to make things and movies and things like that. When I started, nobody who was trying to go was in film school.
Again, I think that's a very important statement that George Lucas made. Like, he likes to build things. One of the reasons he sold Lucasfilm was he wanted to do his own stuff that was not focused on money. And so, but he was worried about his employees. He was worried about, especially with the backlash that he got, right? Like, you got to remember that with the prequels coming out, a lot of people were very angry with him. A lot. Okay? It's not to say that most were happy with it. We don't know. But from his perspective, he was getting hate mail. He was getting comments, blogs written about people that hate the prequels, and there was some foundation to it. But yeah, they contributed to him like second guessing himself, but he also didn't have the people around him to like tell him like when he's making a bad movie or not, right? He had that throughout the first 3 films, just not the prequels. And you know, he has all these ideas, the things that he wants to do, especially this museum, and he probably wanted to make films, and he talked about making films, but that weren't in the focus of making money because he didn't want to follow trends. He had an idea, so he's gonna put out that idea, and he didn't know if it was gonna make money because he still has to pay these employees. So part of it was due to like, you know what, maybe my time is up. And I believe I think everybody understands the coercion. Bob Iger even talks about how he betrayed George Lucas in his own book, that happened, and how they destroyed his Star Wars and did nothing with the stuff that he approved and created. And even though I love George, he still created the Clone Wars, which is probably the worst thing he ever did while he was in Lucasfilm. And yeah, that's also including Crystal Skull, which I still enjoy, especially now. But yeah, he cared about people. He looked out for them, and that was his number one thing. Like, he didn't know freaking Disney was gonna fire a bunch of them and put a bunch of retards in, or grow the company to be full of freaking inbreds, but that's what they did. And so I think it's really, really important to understand who he is, how he thinks, and how he's had to move on, and what was done to him. I think it's a cautionary tale of like having confidence in yourself, and play both sides of the coin, because he's saying, look, it's all great, go after the thing that you are passionate about. I think that's it gravitates to every young person, but real life is gonna hit you really hard. It's gonna hit you so damn hard, you know, and you're gonna have to go get a job and make money. Like it's not to say don't follow your passion. I mean, it's like, yay, if you got responsibilities and bills to pay, get a job and follow your passion when you're not working. But make sure you can get your bread, you can pay the bills, you can feed your kids, you can pay your like you can survive on your own. You know, if you are in your parents' house right now, young people, go ahead, follow your passion, follow it hard. Don't freaking waste your time, because and like you probably won't follow my advice because that's what you guys do. But everybody's gonna, doesn't matter how good your life is gonna be when you're finally become an adult, you're gonna have hard times, and that's just a reality. Doesn't matter how good you could get, $1 million turning 21, you're still gonna have a hard time. There's gonna be some crappy stuff that happens, man. Let's see what he has to say, just kind of towards the end here.
Would get it into the film business. It just was important.
What happened to the volume? What the freak? Hold up.
Nobody who was trying to go, was in film school, would get it into the film business. It just was important. I like to make things and movies and things like that. When I started, nobody who was trying to go, was in film school, would get it into the film business. It just was impossible. It was closed out to everybody.
Persistence is key.
Fortunately, I came in the 60s when the people who started the studios were all 80, 90 years old, and they were selling the studios. So I got a break, but I was doing what I loved, and my friends who were also of that period were also doing what they loved, which is to make movies. None of us expected to make any money at it. We were lucky if we could even get a job. And we became very successful because we loved what we do. We loved it, and it makes life so much easier. And no matter what it is, if you're like to do pottery, or like to do write things, or you like to do whatever you want to do, if you enjoy it, you're halfway home. You will make money because you enjoy it, and that means you're good at it, and that means you'll make money. Yeah, you might not live in a giant place. Look, I've got a house, it's a giant house. It's too big. I never wanted a big giant house, but I got one now because I can afford it. But it's no different than a regular house. So if you do what you love, you will be able to make a living, you'll be able to eat, you'll be able to have a car, and you'll be able to live nicely, and you'll be happy.
Thank you so much for.
Great words from a simple, lovable man. You know. Again, there's more to it. There's more to this video. I think those were good points. Again, life is freaking tough. It's great if you can do something that you love and get paid for it, but you gotta also remember the thing that you love might be retarded, you know, in terms of the market, you know, like I'll point this out for you. If you love to spray paint walls, but you refuse to do it on a canvas, and you just love it, you love just doing it from an underpass, like maybe you'll make some money if you're smart, you know. I guess what's a better example? Like, for instance, right now, comics, right? If you want to be the best Spider-Man comic book writer, and you love Spider-Man, and you write for Marvel, doesn't matter how good it is, you ain't gonna make money, because it's also Marvel. If you you know, and again, it's difficult. If you're like an artist, it's gonna be years before you can make any money. Years. So yeah, there's certain things that will probably never make money. I can't really think of any right now, but you gotta realize what is going to be a lovable hobby and where you want to invest money in that hobby. Put money towards that hobby, and that's great. And I hope everybody can find their passion someday, but do not trade. Like, people screw you over, man. Like George said, he got a break. He wasn't lucky. He was doing what he loved, so he was constantly at the right place at the right time, constantly, and got a break. You know, like, people get phased out. Older people go away, younger people come in. This day and age, it's a little different. You know, like, young people always come in, so that's your competition, and you don't stop getting older. Like and subscribe, people. George Lucas is awesome, and he's made mistakes. You know, if you look that up, like, you'll see, dude's made mistakes, but it's fine. And they're not so egregious that you want to hate him for it. But yeah. All right, let's get to the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer. It's been 6 years since they released the movie, the first Star Wars movie in 6 damn years, and apparently it's supposed to be the best thing we've ever seen. They're so good, they got a whole season and made a movie. That's how good they are, man. So let's freaking check it out. All right. So far it looks, never mind. It was looking good for a second there, and then made a little joke. I do not like that yellow thing on top of the Razor Crest, but I'm glad we got the Razor Crest back. In a way, I don't really care about it anymore, but Razor Crest was better than that stupid. Naboo Starfighter is my favorite my favorite ship, but the Mandalorian Naboo Starfighter, it's retarded.
I can use some information.
Whoa, for this price I'll tell you whatever you want.
I'm looking for a hut.
Close for the night, thank you.
Gangsters. War criminals.
Long live the Empire.
We'll take out every bad guy in your deck of cards.
This isn't about revenge.
Again, it had me for a second, the music, and then they started doing the same thing they do in every trailer. They just slow the.
It's about preventing another war.
Strap in.
You will suffer. And then it will be his turn.
Wait. Why is he speaking English? The freak? I didn't like that.
Before going into harm's way, check your armor. The kid will live centuries beyond me. I won't always be around to protect him.
Are you scared? You should be.
I'll tell you what, I've always thought they should have made, like, I'm glad they made like a buff hut. I always thought that should be a thing. Especially one that's a Jedi or a Sith. That would be cool. At least this weird snake thing it's kind of Star Warsy, you know?
Or do we fight?
I like this kid.
Hold up.
Run.
Just want to see the stormtroopers. Okay, so they're still.
Or do we fight?
I like this kid.
What are you waiting for? Let's save the rest for after dinner.
Give me a second. Okay, I'm back. We're gonna we're gonna do it again. We're gonna watch it again. I need to go through it. Like it's this trailer's got problems. Dudes. In the beginning, I'm like, oh, this is looking good, and then there's issues, and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling weird about it. So let's go through it. I think in the beginning I do have to block out because of copyright bullcrap, but block out the sound. Good thing I know when the freaking thing comes up when the sound stops because of the music. Okay, we got the X-Wings, whatever that ship is. Boom. Okay. So instead of just reacting, we're gonna break it down. Okay, look, I'm going to pick things apart here and there. It's not me nitpicking, but it's just like the trailer is supposed to give you. So a trailer is supposed to give you mystery, give you an understanding that your hero is going to has a challenge up ahead from him and he has a goal, but you might not know as an audience member that he has a goal, but it's supposed to be like, okay, what's he trying to do? It's supposed to make you question, and that's when you have questions in your head and they're egging at you, that's what gets you to watch these films. We all know Star Wars is at a terrible place. It's been at a terrible place since 2012. So, but let's see what's up. By the way, shouldn't be in that seatbelt. He'll fly out if he hits the brakes. But we got the Razor Crest back. The yellow looks stupid.
I can use some information.
Whoa, for this price, I'll tell you whatever you want.
I'm looking.
Man. I don't know who he sounds like, but sounds cool. It sounds like an actor I know, but I'm terrible at naming actors.
Close for the night. Thank you.
Okay, so look, here's the problem. This is supposed to be a mystery thing. We shouldn't see huts in this trailer. He said I'm looking for a hut, and then immediately they show him finding the huts. So now there's no more interest into finding the huts because we already know he's gonna find them. We have an answer for us. Even if we don't know how he gets there, we know.
Close for the night. Thank you.
We know how it's gonna be done. Like there's two giant security dudes. He probably blows them up. Well, or they're just letting him through, or they're sleeping. I don't know what's going on. Gangsters. It goes through. More gangsters.
Long.
Okay. Here's already another problem. You got snowtroopers right there, right? Why is that a problem? Outside is all snowing. Okay, they are their security for inside, for in their chambers. Unless they even if you look at Empire, the snowtroopers are paired with different looking stormtroopers as well. If you're dressed like this, it's for that climate. You have to be outside. You are going to go fight people in the outside terrain. So there's going to be different types of stormtroopers and different armor up there as security. And then their job is to be around these people who are not going to be outside. You know, your higher ups, your generals, whatever. And even if you're in regular stormtrooper armor, you're just getting to the ship, you're getting to another base here and there. You're not fighting unless it's inside. You're getting from point A to point B. They are the front lines. That's why you have snowtroopers in the snow. So regular stormtroopers would be there at the very least. And at most, you got hired up stormtroopers, but not snowtroopers because it's designed to be outside. So that's a problem. But
the Empire.
We'll take out every bad guy in your deck of cards.
Okay. It's we know he's gonna survive. Like, he's pretty much freaking Superman. He's not even a Mandalorian at this point. Like, look, I'm okay with the Hutts being the bad guys. I'm okay with that. I'm not okay how they're doing it, Like, as much as I think the whole show is terrible, season 1 and 2 introduced some pretty interesting things when it comes to Star Wars. Just not, I don't think it was anything spectacular, but it was interesting, and then we could capitalize off that. And then season 3 was just a dumpster fire, and this movie is not, like, visually it looks okay. Visually it looks all right, you know. The costumes look good, like the effects don't look too bad. Grogu shouldn't be freaking whatever this is. Like Grogu is a baby and shouldn't be in danger. Obviously he's not here. Great, one scene. But when I saw that little plated armor, it's like, okay, he's gonna be in some sort of danger, so let's keep going. It's not like they're going for cool. How about we go for practical? Because practical is cool. Idiots. U-wing, Y-wings, X-wing. Okay, I'm guessing those are the tires for the snow, but okay, whatever.
It's about preventing another war.
So they're using droids again. That stuff kind of looks cool. Not bad.
Strap in.
Stop with the cameos, man. Just make it its own thing. And he doesn't have his helmet on again. Like, they should have just recasted him. Like, his voice isn't even that great. It's freaking Pedro Pascal. The guy's a loser. Whatever.
You will suffer. And then it will be his turn.
Again, ridiculous that they made him speak English. Do the Huttonese thing. Make it... There's an identity to Star Wars, man. Like, good lord. Like, it was common knowledge that many people... That they showed that you can understand without being able to speak. So, like, Han Solo always understood what Chewbacca was saying. Chewbacca always understood what Han was saying. Right? When Luke spoke to Jabba, when Han spoke to Jabba, always understood what he's saying, and Jabba always understood what they were saying. Okay? Like, good lord, man. His voice sounded cool, but I don't want my Hutts freaking speaking freaking English.
Harm's way. Check your armor.
Again, it's a baby. You should never be put in harm's way, man. Awful decision to have him in this movie. You know what? I will automatically give them 3 points in the movie if they kill off the baby. 3 points. Like, you know, you took a risk. Cool. There was risk in this movie. But to me, I think the baby's gonna survive.
It will live centuries beyond me.
Why does he have a little walking stick? He's a baby. Like, they make him like, oh, they're like saying he's 50, 80 years old, whatever he is. Okay, there's gonna be, with that amount of years, even as a toddler, maybe you can't speak yet. Maybe your body hasn't developed, but you understand things, you're cognitive, right? And then they make him a full-blown baby, just a dumb baby that just knows nothing of nothing. It's a baby. How does he know to grab a walking stick to help him walk? Like, there's things that, like, they're doing to be like, oh, remember Yoda? He has a little cane. Like, that fits. That's gonna resonate. And then, like, but it doesn't translate because he's not old. It's just showing him doing something that makes zero sense for a baby to be doing. And he's also meditating. But then they show him being stupid. Like being a regular baby. Like, they're trying to... Oh, my gosh. This character has no consistency. Like...
Around to protect him.
Like, I've always liked Gladiator. It doesn't look too bad. Like I said, I've always thought there should be like a buff freaking Hutt. But it seems like there's too many Hutts already.
you scared? You should be.
That guy didn't look too bad. This giant snake thing doesn't look too bad either. But like they could have done a little bit more practical. You know, Peter Jackson knew how to do it practical and CGI, but he also knew how to make something small and something big using practical effects and making a practical creature. It'd be very easy to do, like just this scene here. I don't think you guys could see like Mando. Hold on 1 second. Here, let me take my freaking A. Okay, so you see that? See Mando right there? Boom, boom. And this giant snake thing. Very easy to just display changes. Make the snake closer to you and him further away to show you size. Just fixing it. Okay. Back to the freaking trailer.
Where do we fight?
I like this kid.
What are you waiting for?
That's ridiculous. That's insane. Like, I don't think... If you defend this, you're a freaking moron. Look, that's a stroller, right? The other one is just a regular baby. What if he just presses the button? Because all he did is put it a notch forward. And it goes to that speed? And then they show, like, he could drive. So what is he, a baby? Or, like... Don't show me him doing baby stuff, goo goo gaga bullcrap, and then show him driving. And that's so dangerous. So like it makes no sense that somebody would invent something this small that would go this fast, if not to kill babies. Like the other freaking baby, like what if he just accidentally like fell asleep forward, hits the button, and then boom. Like that's insane. Dumb.
Let's save the rest for after dinner.
Cutesy baby bullcrap. Dude, okay, yeah, there ain't no hype for this damn movie. It's like... It's mediocre at best. I think it's very flashy. So when you first watch it, you might be like, "Oh man, this actually looks pretty good." But then when you actually turn your brain on, you're like, "Oh shoot." Because I'll be honest, in the beginning I was like, "Oh, okay, like I've seen this X-Wing scene before. I think in another movie, and obviously in probably Force Awakens. I imagine TIE fighters." But look. For Disney to kind of get a new fan base, they have to completely stop everything they've been doing, get rid of this era, and go like 1,000 years, 3,000 years into the future from the 9 movies. Because it's the only way where they could start fresh and implement their own ideas. I'm not saying they're going to implement good ideas, but they're butchering everything George Lucas ever created. So 3,000 years into the future, George Lucas never did anything with that. So have your fun and see if somebody can make sense of that. Maybe they'll get some people back. But in order for you guys to make money, like Disney bought Lucasfilm because it was a cash cow. Because they thought that Lucasfilm, if you do Star Wars, not talking about Indiana Jones, anything else. If they just do Star Wars, it's guaranteed $1 billion per movie. That was the thinking. Guaranteed we're making $1 billion per movie. So How do we get back our investment? All right. Well, usually a movie costs, in Hollywood standards at the time when they bought it, anywhere from 200 to max 400 million. Okay? So if you do the math, a movie makes $1 billion, because Star Wars is definitely gonna make $1 billion. You subtract 400 million at the most. Let's be optimistic. Let's say worst case scenario, 400 million was the cost of marketing, all of it. Okay, so you make $600 million a movie. All right. So if you make 4 movies, 1.2 billion, that's 3.4 billion or 2.4 billion. So if they make 8 movies, all they need to make is 8 movies, and they are profitable by a few hundred million. That's all they need. Maybe 7, possibly even 6. You know, worst case scenario, 8 movies. We'll make that back, and they could release 2 movies a year. You know. So what did they release? We got the 3 pieces of garbage. We got Solo. We got Rogue One. And I'd guarantee they're like, Force Awakens definitely gonna make $1 billion, possibly $2 billion. It didn't make $2 billion. All right. Next movie, guaranteed $2 billion, and at least the 3rd movie is guaranteed $2 billion. Probably gonna be the biggest movie of all time. So, but they had released 5 movies. They probably thought before Rise of Skywalker they would have made money, been profitable just from Star Wars. They didn't plan on realizing that they are on going full retard and doing all that bullcrap, man. They didn't plan it. Actually, let's do something we haven't done in a while. So yeah, this movie, it ain't gonna be good. It's not, and it's gonna flop hard, because nobody wants to go. Nobody's talking about going to the movies to watch Star Wars. They're talking about Marvel still. Marvel still has some, like, a toe to stand on. But yeah, it's not looking good. So let me take a look at some of the comments. I bet a lot of them is gonna be positive because it's monkey brain. But let's look. Mando has his helmet off in the trailer more in the trailer than 3 seasons. All right. Got 85 replies. Alright, next one. Calling it now. Grogu says his first words at the end of this movie. I guess Mando will have to take another bath since his helmet was removed again. Yep. Good to see Pedro Pascal on screens again after his 48-hour hiatus. Embo and Zeb are going to be so cool for their 7 minutes of screen time. 14-second, somehow the Razor Crest returned. Embo's casually walking in like he never left us. Now this is Pram racing, Grogu. Why on earth was this not the first trailer? There's some slight positivity there. Just asking a question. This should have been the Super Bowl trailer. Embo and his dog for a split second. Old man Grogu, I had a friend once. It's about preventing another war. Well, episodes 7, 8, and 9 want a word with you. That's pretty good. Okay, minute 136. Zeb Aurelios will return in Avengers Doomsday. I wonder how much Pedro's FaceTime was in his contract. LOL. I want to see a fight between Grogu and Embo's dog. 158. The Mandalorian Grogu will return in Avengers Doomsday. Grogu knows his stroller models. Wait. What? Let's skip a second. In loving memory of James Earl Jones. It's pretty heartfelt. I don't know why you would post that. That's kind of whack. Let me see the replies. Let me see if someone's like, yo, what the hell? And Carl Weathers. Was James Earl Jones' voice in this? Sign over the door when the Severett burst, blah, 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 blah. Okay, just AI comment. Okay. Mr. Fantastic doing side quests. This trailer makes me feel more like a movie and not just an episode of the show. Dude, yeah, it's a movie. 104 Embo, is that you? Finally, a real nah, you're an idiot. So we got 2 positives over, I don't know how much, just trolling. Hope there's a longer version of the Star Wars theme music at the beginning of the trailer on the soundtrack. I love it. Yeah. This looks much better than the first trailer did. Yeah, because the first trailer wasn't nothing. I'm excited now. Good for you, brother. This is the way you do a real trailer. Okay, some more positivity. Okay, that's good for Disney. Most importantly, Ludwig Göransson is in. Savrap Embozeb, the Hutts, and a Ripley Loader pending crossover. The fan service is strong with this flick. Whom's out there making pod racing ready baby strollers? Exactly. Edit grammar Nazis. Okay, not gonna lie, out of all the advertisements for this movie, this is the only trailer that made me want to go see this movie. Yep. And he has already lived much longer than you by now. He is a 50-year-old kid. Yeah. This should have been the first trailer. He put the stroller in sports mode. I guarantee you they launched this trailer now, and they were probably wanting to wait like April or something to stop, for people to stop talking about that terrible bull crap teaser that they put in the Super Bowl. The first Hutt is Rada Jabba's son, who appears as a baby in Star Wars: The Clone Wars series. Alright, Zeb, give me a smile. I'll admit it, LOL. Looney Tunes looking logo. Rudy from Ice Age 3. Grogu hijacking a baby carriage. Martin Scorsese in Star Wars wasn't on my 2026 bingo card. Oh, that's interesting. It's Martin Scorsese. Now I recognize the voice. All I know that this movie better open with the classic Star Wars intro. Ambo Grogu saluting is so adorable. That's a woman. Wow, Martin Scorsese, welcome to the Star Wars. There is no family. It's more like a coked out uncle. I hope I can see Grogu eat the biscuit in IMAX 3D Ultra Surround 4D mode. Somehow the Razor's Crest return. Edit. All the people saying that he just bought a new one clearly don't remember that explicitly stated. Oh, dude, shut up. This is the way. What the flipstick? Of course we got Embo, Dave Filoni's baby. Yep. He's always so shiny. Not really anything of note, of excitement, of people being like, hell yeah, like finally we're gonna get a solid film. No, just realizing that Star Wars is dead, and it's been dead, it's gonna stay dead. Freaking Mando can't pick it up. Mandalorian Grogu is so bullcrap, you know. And Jon Favreau came out not too long and be like, hey, just in case, I have season 4. Like, they could totally... So what other movie did they do that to? Oh, Dragon Ball Super did this. Dragon Ball Super, they put out the movie, right, where Goku becomes Super Saiyan God, and then they turned it into like 15 episodes and then did a whole series. It was kind of like them testing the waters. So let's say this thing flops hard, which it will, but let's say it flops so damn hard that Disney, craps their pants. They're gonna call Jon Favreau, like, okay, we need you to take this, implement it into your season 4 and break it down, and just, and then they will never mention it again. Like, that's most likely what they'll do. I was going to... You guys remember the Star Wars SC-36 reimagining? So their fight reimagined. Obi-Wan's and Darth Vader's. You guys remember that? I was going to play that, but, man, I got 53 million views. To kind of a reminder that before AI, and not too long ago, 6 years ago exactly, people were still making really awesome fan films. They probably used a little bit of AI and CGI. But yeah, by the way, like and subscribe. Mandalorian Grogu, gay. But like and subscribe. So, if you guys never saw it, which if we're talking about Star Wars and you're here, you saw it. They reimagined the fight with Ben Kenobi and Darth Vader in Episode 4. Here's one. Even with that video, I think there's a line from Revenge of the Sith where Anakin says, "I hate you," and then they pan over to Obi-Wan. He says, "You were my brother, Anakin." I think they should have left the Anakin out. I'm always a fan of whatever mystery you discovered in a movie needs to stay within that movie. So like Clone Wars, I have massive problems with Clone Wars. Overall, it's crap. The Clone Wars sucks. Read anything about the Clone Wars in the video games before they did the Clone Wars series, and you'll be like, I can't believe they retconned this stuff. I can't believe they turned Mandalore into this. I can't believe they changed all this. That was freaking gold, and it's Dave freaking Filoni. Yeah. But anyways, there's the episodes of like the father, the brother, the sister, or whatever, and it shows like Anakin and Darth Vader in the background and all this stuff. I don't think it should ever show any of that. It doesn't matter that, like, dude. Okay, so my wife, she's from South Korea. When we were dating, she knew nothing about Star Wars. She's never even heard the word Star Wars. Okay? She was born in the 90s. Never heard it. There's still people to this day that exist in first world countries that never heard Star Wars because guess what? They live a life. Okay? And especially now, probably most people probably never heard Star Wars. Man, I know kids that don't hear about Star Wars and they're American, man. Star Wars it's inherently American. So, man, like, when I showed her, and at the time, only Force Awakens came out. I was pissed, whatever. I showed her freaking all 6 movies, and she was in shock. And Empire's like, no, she even looked at me, she's like, Darth Vader's lying, right? Because he's evil. There's no way he's Luke's father. I'm like, looks like we're gonna have to watch Return of the Jedi. And then after that she was like, and I showed her in that order, and she's like, so how did it become bad? And then I'm like, we got 3 other movies to explain. And we watched it, and she enjoyed them. You know, she pointed out the mistakes. She's like, this one, like, episode 1 was kind of boring. Episode 2 was more boring, but I love the end. Like, she was, you know, spot on. And I think the mysteries should be only revealed in the movies that the original mystery was revealed. And that way it keeps it fresh, and we don't have to rely on always calling back and like, oh, remember, you know, Anakin is going to be Darth Vader. Like, no, the Clone Wars shouldn't. You should believe. One of the big mistakes of the Clone Wars was showing Anakin being too vulnerable. We should believe that only towards the end was he starting to question, but he was pretty much, you know, left his immaturities behind. He was stoic as being a good commander, doing the things that the Jedi wanted to do and really believing in the order. And then we should have seen, you know, Darth Sidious, Palpatine kind of, you know, putting those little nuggets of thought and him rejecting it. But then he just kept like teardrops, like a little water on a stone, just marinating every now and then, just bloop, 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 until we get episode 3 where he's like a little more emotional and all that stuff to really tie it in, so we don't think he's just a loser all the way through from episode 2 to 3, you know, because we do kind of see that in the beginning of episode 3, but you know, his ambitions get the better of him. Like, we should yeah, there's a lot of things that they should have done, but yeah, it's just that, like, I was going to react to it, but or not react, but show you guys, but you guys probably already seen it, and I just don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it, man. Anyways, that was The Mandalorian and Grogu. I don't got much to say. Freaking Star Wars is dead. It's been dead. It's gonna be dead. This movie isn't even gonna make $500 million. Not even $500 million. Yeah, I would be in shock if they do. This doesn't. I don't think it really gravitates. Because here's the thing: a trailer should make the current fandom, if it already has a fandom, right? Should make the current fandom happy, but attract the normies to wonder, like, what is this new thing? Like, what's this Mandalorian Grogu like? We gotta go see this. This is gonna be incredible. It didn't do that, I don't think, for anybody. There's there was 8,000 comments, and it didn't even hit 10 million views. And it's been a few days now. Let me see. So that right now it stands at 9 million and almost 500,000 views. Let's see what other trailers released at this time. Freaking A. What other trailer came out? Like movie trailers. Let's see what others launched. Okay, so Spider-Man Noir came out 6 days ago. And that's at 20 million views. Okay. So let's see. The AI doc came out. The AI doc, or How I Became an Apocalyptimist, official trailer, only in theaters March 27th. 1 day ago. 3.1 million views. Okay. Mandalorian Grogu, 9.4. That's freaking creepy. Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Let's react to that. It looks creepy as F. It's at 2.8 million views. But look at that. Are you not effing terrified? Damn. Let's
Can I get 2 slices of pizza?
No.
Of course, honey.
No, you never ever finish 2.
Hello?
Mr. and Mrs. Cannon. I'm Deputy Chief of the U.S. Embassy.
Okay.
Your daughter Katie has been found.
Oh, dang.
She's alive.
Dude.
It's very important you fully prepare yourselves for what you're about to see.
I'm getting goosebumps.
No sudden moves. No loud noises.
Hey, Butterfly. It's Mom and Dad.
Yeah, we are here. We're here.
She's been missing for 8 years. What was our daughter doing in a 3,000-year-old sarcophagus?
She just needs our care and lots of love.
Dude, it's like, I don't know if you guys could tell, man. I'm getting some hardcore goosebumps. I'm feeling weird from this, man. I'm actually kind of scared.
How many others were found?
8 years, but she looks the same.
57.
How many of them were still alive?
What happened to Katie? What really happened to her?
Que salió tu Señor de los Milagros.
Say something.
Tu Señor de los Milagros.
Say something. something. Say something.
Okay. This is some dark stuff, man.
Say something. Don't worry, Grandma.
Okay, yeah.
It's fun to be dead.
Okay, this is... Ooh. I'm, Oh, freaking... This is terrifying, man. Dude, I honestly, I hate when things involve kids and demonic, evil stuff like that. I don't know if I'm gonna go watch that, but it did terrify me. It did what it was supposed to. Like that's a real trailer right there. It freaking made you think. Like he asked questions we don't know the answer to. There's a video, like we want to know, like, are we gonna see what happened to her? There's a videotape after he says like what happened to her, and then there's a videotape. It might just be like her birthday of like the day before she went missing or something. We don't know how she went missing. Like we don't know if the parents were neglectful at the time. You know, like there's a lot, man. You know, we don't know. So there was 50, like, was it other mummies that kidnapped her? Was it people? They didn't even say how many people were, how many kids. They found 50. How many kids survived? Hers might have been the only one, but we don't know, and that's how it should be left at. But damn, that freaked me out. Get that bot out of my stream on Kick, dude. F you. But yeah, damn. Look, I don't know if I'm gonna watch it because of how I felt. I felt weird and goosebumps, and like I freaking scared the hell out of me. But if you like horror films, then it's freaking. The trailer made it look good, man. That looks like it's gonna be a banger. Let's see what else Hollywood's been cooking. Cause I was surprised that, like, you know, don't like seeing that kid's face like that. So let's see, Mandalorian Grogu, ain't nobody watching this bull crap. Slanted. The Gates, Blades of the Guardians. The Dinosaurs from Netflix. That was 10 days ago. Do Not Enter. Is there a bunch of horror movies that are just gonna come out right now, or what is up with that? Should we watch the AI doc? The Scarlet depiction of hell in a movie. Okay. Oh, I thought we got a Mortal Kombat 2 trailer. We did not. Got effed on that one. Young Washington. Just from the title alone, that AI combat thing. Let's go take a look at it. Everything else, nothing freaking crazy. They're really trying to push Daredevil Born Again, and then nobody cares. Ain't nobody freaking cares. Okay, Over Your Dead Body trailer. Don't care. Is this an actual film? Or is this more of like a documentary?
If this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong.
What is this?
Your fear of AI is the collapse of humanity.
Well, not the collapse, the abrupt extermination. There's a difference.
So I started making this movie because my wife is 6 months pregnant. Is now a terrible time to have a kid.
I mean, I'll just be honest. I know people who work on AI risk who don't expect their children to make it to high school.
Look, too many people freaking let technology raise their kids. It's so, and here's the thing. It's because nobody wants to do the nuclear family. Like, I guarantee you, like people always tell me like, oh, your kids are gonna watch the new Superman movie, like something simple as that. No, they're not. While they're under my roof, there's a lot of things they ain't gonna do. You know, it's pretty damn simple to raise your kids. Pay attention to them. Focus on them. If you don't like, understand what the school's teaching them. If you don't like what's happening at school, don't let them go there. Take them out. Homeschool them. Like, do the hard things that's gonna be better for your family. But say they're not gonna make it to high school because they're gonna be retarded, or they're gonna think like the world's gonna end. Come on.
How does AI understand pretty much everything?
It's surprisingly straightforward.
Intelligence is about recognizing patterns.
Patterns.
Like, people who don't understand AI and what's its use for, pretty much, like, you're an idiot, because AI, the purpose of it is for it to be you without you having to be there, and to be you more efficiently. It's to be another human, a superhuman. That's the point of AI. Like, recognize patterns. Okay, humans recognize patterns. No, I want it to recognize immediately. I don't want somebody to study a pattern 5-6 months from now and figure it out. I want it right now, in a minute. Like, something that simple. Obviously, it's gonna have a million other functions, but it's a good thing that we're using AI. But like, it's a good thing that AI is gonna happen if you keep up with it. It's a bad thing if you try to ignore it and be like, you know, just complain about it and don't, like, it's an inevitability. It's inevitable. Okay, it's inevitable. So since it's inevitable, why not study it so you can understand it? Because you don't want to be left behind, because you're gonna get screwed.
If you have learned those patterns, you can generate new information.
All these people look like freaks, man. A lot of them.
Deployed prematurely. There's so much potential for things to go wrong.
This shit looks pretty normal.
Why can't we just stop? All these companies are in a race to get AI that's vastly more intelligent than people within this decade.
He looks pretty normal.
Whoever wins is essentially the controller of humankind.
We need to take a threat from AI as seriously as global.
Okay, never mind. There's just a few people. Yeah, you should take it as a threat, but it doesn't mean.
Find these CEOs and get them in the movie.
Great.
I want to ask you to promise me that this is going to go well.
That is impossible.
Okay. Am I hopeful? Yes. Am I confident that it'll go right? Absolutely not.
AI is the thing that can solve climate change.
We could cure most diseases.
What if it's expanding what is humanly possible?
This is the most extraordinary time ever. The only time more exciting than today is tomorrow.
I already love you.
Okay. I think if this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong.
By using AI, we're about to move off of the Earth into the cosmos.
If we can be the most mature version of ourselves, there might be a way through this.
This is the last mistake we'll ever get to make.
Okay. So it's a docu-movie, right? A docu-movie. And it might be good. It it made me want to watch it more than Mandalorian and Grogu. I'll give it that. Yeah, I think this movie. I think maybe if feeling up to it, I'll go give it a watch. Maybe not in theaters, but it's a docu-movie. I'm surprised. Like, it's doing really well in terms of viewership on YouTube, this trailer. But yeah, like, I don't think it's anything crazy, but it did spark my interest. There's a lot of things coming out, huh? I don't have time to even watch all the trailers. But okay. Freaking A. Yeah, I just wanted to go through some stuff. Just because of all the freaking trailer hypes. Okay, I've told you guys I really want someone to do what Star Wars Theory is doing and all these AI filmmakers on YouTube are doing with Marvel Comics, and to show these normie bastards, because I don't have the talent, to show the normie bastards in studios what we missed out on movies that could be made within the comics. You know? Like, just take all the characters, just the Avengers, just take the characters that they're using from phases 1 through 3 and show them, like, look, you don't think that, as much as I like Infinity War, you don't think Thanos' motivation was dumb? If you can cut the resources, the people draining resources, in half, couldn't you just double the resources? And you couldn't have made that interesting in terms of, like, he's evil because he knew it was going to create an incursion, maybe. So there's going to be, 2 planets everywhere, and then they start coming together. And then that's how you could have introduced Fox, X-Men, and maybe another Spider-Man, and then have them fight it out, and, like, having the same version of one another, a different Iron Man on a planet, and they're, like, fighting for survival. And then you can make interesting stories of people, like, question their morality, because if they kill that one first, then it's like the universe solidifies that one as the main one. Like, you could have made a lot of interesting stories with that. Like, in the comics, Thanos' motivation was just to impress Lady Death. Did a job, man doing a woman's job much better than her isn't rocket science. It isn't like a crazy leap of logic, you feel me? But he killed half the universe, and then she condemned him for it. He thought he was gonna get some booty, but it just didn't happen. She got mad because she couldn't do that good of a job, and we didn't get Drax getting revenge on Thanos, so he's just became a nothing character that never accomplishes anything. He's just a gag. We didn't even get to see Drax's daughter, who is bi, and one of the first bald ladies that I ever thought looked pretty freaking phenomenal. But yeah. So, is she bi, or is she one of the taco community? I don't know. But yeah, I really need, like, that's pretty much the only thing. Like, I think AI is going to be great for filmmaking and to show, and it's the best way to show. Like, I've said this before, there's speaking with your wallet doesn't exist anymore. I heard it many times with Marvel and Star Wars. You can't speak with your wallet, dudes. Okay, because I'm gonna point this out because I keep pointing out and nobody's listening. All right, look here. Heir to the Empire, right? So this is a good story. Disney sucks. This is a good story. Stick with me now. Stick with me. So, what happens? Disney wants to put their ideological bull crap. They want to make their crap. So what do they do with you? The smart guy. they're gonna make sure you do something retarded. Smart people do stupid things. I don't know if you knew this. They repackage this and then put a label Legends, little nice artwork, and then go put it at Barnes and Noble. Hey, look, we know you like this. We know you didn't really like our movies, but we know you like this. Here you go, $10. People are like, damn, you know, like, I'm gonna go vote with my wallet. I'm going to go buy this thing to show them, yo, look at the sales on these books. And a lot of people are gonna do it because they're retarded. And then what is Disney gonna do? They're gonna laugh in your face and being like, ha ha ha, now that we have your money, we're gonna use this money to fund the gay crap. Ta-da! And then we're gonna get 3 crappy movies of just freaking railing us from behind, and then they're gonna keep putting out the things we love, and then we're just gonna rebuy them because we're retarded. I'm not gonna do that. You're gonna do that because you're stupid. And then freaking they're gonna keep making their crap because that's their business model. Okay, it's not a good one, but they don't care about business no more. They're under Disney. Like, Lucasfilm is bankrupt. If it wasn't, like, think about it. Lucasfilm wouldn't be a company today if they weren't under Disney. All right, Disney's films wouldn't be a company today, but their theme parks fund them. Like, dude, they got this machine that they could do whatever they want. Okay, so how do you, like, AI is actually a really good opportunity to show Hollywood, to show all these companies with these big IPs, yo, like think about it this way. Let me go here. Okay, let me show you guys this. Let's just go to some random AI Star Wars. AI Star Wars. Okay, let's go to the highest viewed popularity. Okay, that's not AI. Oh, I lied. Mandalorian Grogu got 12 mil. Oh, that was 4 months ago. Never mind. Anakin and Obi-Wan, but it's a musical. Okay. All right. So let's just say, okay, this musical right here. It's a funny. Your average ticket nowadays is what, $18, and they got 8.1 million views times 8,100,000. So they would have made $145 million if they sold tickets and got 8.1 million people in. You guys understand that? Do you guys get that bullcrap? So they're gonna be able to see that, look, this fool did this for free. All right, and we're shelling out money and making garbage, and people are going over there and supporting this guy. So imagine if somebody makes a full-blown film for freaking fun using AI. Might not be the most perfect thing, but guarantee you it will be better than anything we got in terms of freaking actual Lucasfilm, right? Man, there's a lot of crazy. Whoa, ¿Qué pasa? A lot of good stuff going on. Man, I might actually go through some of this stuff. Damn. All right. So, okay. So how is it gonna work? You make your movie. Get a team together, kind of like Star Wars Theory. You know, he's shelling out money for that stuff. You might have to shell out some money to make a full-blown AI movie. But if you make a movie of the comics, you know, the Captain America comics, and just reimagine a way of, like, the current MCU, you know, like actually give Black Widow some character, you know, Make her like in the comics where you never knew she was good guy or bad guy. She was always playing that, just threading the needle right there. You were duped to think that she was like perfectly loyal to Nick Fury, and then she does something that's egregious, stuff like that, and give her some character. Make the second Iron Man movie actually good, make the third Iron movie actually good, or just go and take the comics and make a movie. Like I would love to see that. I'd pay money to see that. This is from a fan, and guarantee you, and again, somebody has to love it so much to be able to do this. I don't love it that much, and I don't have the time. Somebody does have to have the time, Star Wars Studios got the love and the time to do that stuff, so it can't just be love. So I get it, but I think that is an opportunity for us fans to, show these studios without giving them any benefit what we love and what we'll spend our money on. It'd be awesome. Again, there's no speaking with your wallets. That is a pastime. But anyways, ladies, I am done for today. I was tired before I even got in here. Thanks for those tuning in, especially on Kick. Thanks Mike Phantom. You were awesome. But yeah, the Star Wars is dead. There's some movies coming out that might be freaking good this year. Who knows? But yeah, just want to do a little reactions, have some fun with you guys, and then I'll turn these into videos because you guys know, suck at editing. Man, I do want to make a video though, a very specific video. But yeah, like and subscribe, douchebags. We out. It's the wrong thumbnail. Oh no. What am I gonna do? I gotta change it. There we go. Yeah. Peace out, fools.